What's up with YouTube and SoundCloud? This is episode 5, or episode 4 of the Glorious Podcast, Monday Night Raw review last night. We got more to talk about than just Raw. The Raw ratings are just in, and more news on the Bray Wyatt situation as well. Braun Strowman news. There's a lot to talk about, more than just what happened last night on Monday Night Raw here on the Glorious Podcast. Well, let's get into Raw first. Let's get that out of the way because Raw was pure hell last night. It was an abysmal show. It was, I don't know how I made it. It was a long 3 hours, let's just say that. The show opened, Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe. You know, they said this was going to open. I said this in my video yesterday, which you can go check out, where I previewed Raw. And I also gave you my viewpoint on the whole Bray Wyatt situation and all that stuff. Go check out that video after you watch this one here. But the show opened with Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe. They got into a big brawl. A bunch of people came out from the locker room, tried to break it up and all. This was a good segment. The build, like I said, the only good thing I could pull away from Raw last week was the Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe stuff. Well, looking at this show, there's only about one thing I can pull away from the entire show that I really liked, and it was, once again, the Brock Lesnar Samoa Joe stuff. So this is 2 weeks in a row now where the only thing I like about the episode, the entire 3 hours plus episode of Raw, is Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe's little segment, which was only about 15 minutes total, maybe not even that. Now many of you are probably questioning why exactly this opened the show. The reason for the this segment opening the show was because the NBA Finals were on at 9 o'clock, so WWE figured people would, they want them to watch this, so they figured people would be watching the NBA Finals at like 11 o'clock, not, tuning into Raw or whatever, so they figured they knew they were going to lose viewers either way ahead of time. They weren't even like, they knew right away, like, we're going to lose viewers. So they figured they'd put this on first, and it would get people to tune in next week. It's some stupid theory WWE has where, you get people to, watch this, so they just watch that first, 10 minutes of Raw, and they're going to want to watch next week, and it's probably going to work. People are going to tune in thinking, I want to see the fallout of Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe, and then that will get viewers next week. All they care about is viewers. They're just, it's all about just putting someone on the show. They figure Brock Lesnar could show up again. Who knows what's going to happen. So they just, that's why that was on first. Some people probably just watched that and tuned out and went to bed because the rest of the show wasn't even worth talking about, really, because it was just bad, but we're going to cover it anyway because why not? Elias Samson defeats Dean Ambrose. This match was brutally long. I honestly like Elias Samson, and I like Dean Ambrose when he's good. Right now, Dean Ambrose is kind of stale. He doesn't really have much of anything. I mean, I've been a big fan of Dean Ambrose, like last summer and everything. But right now, Dean Ambrose he's just not doing it right now for me. I mean, his character is just I don't know. He needs something different. I mean, maybe, I just don't know what happened to Dean Ambrose, really. I mean, I could sit here and it's just amazing because, over the last 2 years, it's just been a downhill fall for Dean Ambrose. He used to be, everybody liked Dean Ambrose once he left the Shield. He was, the fan favorite. I mean, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose. Everybody loved Dean Ambrose. But then, I don't know what happened. Really, after he won that WWE Championship, it was just a downhill. The downhill fall really just begun, and it's been about a year now, and it's just it's at an all-time low right now. But Elias Samson, I like Elias Samson too, but he wins the match. He gets a little help from The Miz and Maurice. They get involved in the match. So, I mean, this match, like I said, it was long. It felt long, but I remember I could have sworn I was sitting here saying the same thing last week about a match. It felt long, and it might have been Miz or something, and Dean Ambrose, or I don't remember. Could have been even the same match again. I don't know if they did it again. But I feel like out of all this stuff here, what I'm seeing with this, it's going to lead to a triple threat match at the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. It's going to be Elias Samson versus Dean Ambrose versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm pretty sure this is where that's all going. So I'm actually would look forward to that match. I mean, it'll be a decent match. So, I mean, I guess the build for it's complete garbage, and I don't expect the build to change over the next, 3 weeks or whatever. I mean, there's still a while. There's about a month until Great Balls of Fire too. That's another thing. I mean, they're kind of in a tough spot too. You gotta note that now. With them being so far away from the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view, they can't really go all in with the build yet, as if it were a go home show. Not that they do that anyway with go home shows. The build's usually shit for that too. But they really don't have much right now. So the show just continued to go downhill. I mean, it got really bad right now in the next match. I don't even know if I should call it a match, but, mathematically in the books it will go down as a match. Cedric Alexander defeats Noam Dar. But this was just a brutal segment. My ears were just brutally hurting from the Alicia Fox FaceTime thing they had going on. It was just so annoying, and I just wanted to put the TV on mute. I was seconds away from just hitting mute on the controller, putting the TV on mute, because this segment was it was just bad. It just continues. I mean, the show is just a downhill fall. They're at the top of the mountain in the beginning. They're at the bottom by the end of the show. That's what this show was, and that's, I wouldn't say it opens good every week, but one good thing in the show, that's all it's always like. This was, I don't even know what to say about this. This was just really annoyingly bad, and it was just like, whose idea this was? It was just stupid. I don't know where they're going with that. I really don't care. The Cruiserweight division, I like I say every week, I like the talent in the Cruiserweight division, but the storylines bore me to death. Like, who cares about, like, what they're doing right now? Like, just, I don't know, just, like, the wrestling can be good, but there's no story, there's no background to really any of the cruiserweights, and I think that's why the division's failing. I think that's why the whole 205 Live thing has just been a mess, and it hasn't been getting good views. It's simply because of that. And there's another thing I got to talk about later in the show here. A report came out today, multiple websites picked it up, saying that Triple H isn't happy with Vince McMahon. Now, I feel like stuff like this came out before, but this is an example why. I'll get more into it after we get through Raw here, but that I'll get into that later. I don't know what to say there. Bray Wyatt, he actually showed up despite all the stuff that happened earlier that day yesterday with the whole divorce thing, JoJo and all that. He shows up. Seth Rollins confronts him. They're going somewhere with the feud here, obviously. I'm still confused why exactly they're not doing the Finn Balor, it's not Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt feud. That looked like that's the route they were going to go about like a month ago. And then all of a sudden they had like Bray Wyatt confront him or whatever last week or was. And now they're going somewhere with a Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt feud. It can be a decent feud, but like, I don't know. I don't even, like, this segment was just like, one of those segments that had you just going, what? Like, it was just bad. It didn't make any sense. Bray Wyatt just disappears. Typical Bray Wyatt stuff you're going to see every week. Nothing to really pull out of that segment. Apollo Cruz defeats Callisto. These two have been having a match every week. I swear I have to go look it up, because I feel like every week Apollo Cruz is taking on Callisto, either on a pay-per-view or Monday Night Raw. They have a match every week, and then obviously it all centers around the Titus brand, and now apparently Tozawa from 205 Live, the Cruiserweight division, is now on the Titus brand as well, so they're expanding the Titus brand. They're going more than just Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil. They had him at ringside, and then I was laughing my ass off when Titus O'Neil pulled him in the ring. He was just like throwing him around like he was like a toy or something. Like, he just threw him in the ring, and then he was like throwing him around in the ring, hugging him or whatever. Then they took a selfie or whatever. That was funny. I got a laugh out of that, but the actual like segment, the whole match or whatever, like, I don't know what the hell they're doing here with the Titus brand. I hear that he's going to be on 205 Live tonight, Titus O'Neil, bringing the whole Titus brand there, so I don't know, that's just another way for them to increase ratings on 205 Live. Alexa Bliss confronted by basically the entire Raw Women's division, excluding Bayley, who did not show up again. There was an interview with Bayley that followed this segment, but Alexa Bliss confronted by basically everyone. And then a big brawl ensues, and then they cut the commercial, and you guessed it, just like every time a big brawl ensues and they cut the commercial, there's going to be some big giant tag match when they come back from that commercial, and that's what happened as usual. So, 6-woman tag, I think the face team won or whatever, I don't remember. This show was bad. One thing to take away from here, Emma returned. Emma's back from injury. She did return at a live event over the weekend, and then she was on Raw, so that's good news there to have Emma back. Like I said, and then that was followed by Bayley, an interview which was taking place, I don't know when. She wasn't actually on the show, but it was an interview with Corey Graves, and yeah, it was an awkward, like, what the hell was up with that awkward segment where Bayley hugged Corey, and like, that was just weird. Like, I didn't get that whole thing. Corey was like, get me the hell out of here. What else? Oh, here we go. This is the lowest of lows. I've been saying that all through this episode so far, but the lowest of lows was when The Miz and a mystery partner would take on Rhino and Heath Slater in a tag match. So, I mean, remember a few months ago, there was this whole thing they were doing with The Miz, and he had a mystery partner, and everybody thought it was going to be Mike Bennett, and he was going to show up, and that never happened. So I was like, oh, here come the Mike Bennett rumors again. I'm like, but that probably didn't happen. I didn't really see any Mike Bennett rumors or anything going around on Twitter or any of that last night. But, so who would the Miz's partner end up being? A freaking bear. A bear dressed up. So I'm guessing, oh yeah, it's probably Dean Ambrose again in the bear costume, because that's what they're doing here lately. They have Dean Ambrose dressing up. Last week he was the cameraman. This week he'd be a bear. So they have a match, but it was just like last week. They took, like, there was a bear in the ring. Miz thought it was Ambrose, took the mask off, and it was just some random person. So he took the mask off of this bear. It was just some random dude again. But then, like, there must have been another bear or whatever. Ambrose was under the ring, rolled out, and then he was under the bear costume all of a sudden. I don't even know. This was just Monday Night Raw in a nutshell right here. I mean, this freaking bear shit. Like, what the hell, man? This is what you could come up with. I mean, you cannot come up with better stuff than freaking people dressing up in costumes and attacking each other. Like, I swear, this is Monday Night Raw right here. That just summed up the entire show for me right there after that. I was just like, yeah, this is one of the worst episodes of Raw ever. Neville attacks Rich Swann. They never even had a match. They were supposed to have a match. Neville just attacked him when he got in the ring. I don't even know what the hell they're doing. I like what they're doing. The only thing I like what the Cruiserweight division is they're doing is building up Neville as, like, this crazy good heel. Like, I mean, like, you know, who's going to be the guy to dethrone Neville, take that Cruiserweight championship away from him? I don't know who it's going to be. I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be Rich Swann. It's clearly not Austin Aries after him losing 3 times to him in the last, like, 2 months or whatever. Could be Cedric Alexander. That would be good. I mean, they could put on a good match, I'd assume. Or it could be someone who's not even in the Cruiserweight division at this moment. So, I don't know where they're going with that, but it was just a quick attack, and then that's it. Big Cass is attacked backstage again. So, this continues. This is now the 4th week someone was attacked. It was Enzo 2 weeks in a row, and then Cass last week and this week. So, and then clearly you see the revival in the background again. So, I mean, clearly we've gotten the clue that it is them attacking them. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. But Enzo and Cass thinks it's Big Show that's attacking them, and it looks like they're going somewhere here, and they're going to actually have a Big Show and Big Cass feud coming or something, because based on what happened last night, that looks like where we're going with that. So prepare for that feud. I don't know what else to say. The Revival actually were on the show. They were one of the people, the teams that came out and broke up that brawl in the beginning of the show, so they were on there. I mean, they're not hiding them completely. I mean, they walked right backstage again, though, so that's clearly them. They get, you know. What else? Cesaro, the main event. Cesaro and Sheamus retain their tag titles against the Hardy Boys in the 2 out of 3 Falls match, which was the main event of the show. I really couldn't even keep my eyes on the TV at this point. The show was just so bad after that whole dumb thing with the bear costume and that stupid segment, and just the entire show as a whole. It just went. This was just like a way to cap off just an awful night. Cesaro and Sheamus retained, and they didn't even have like a clean ending. They have a double count. Like, you really couldn't end it like in a good way. Like, they just figured, like, give up at this point. Who gives a shit? Let's just end it like this. And that's what they did. They ended it just awfully, and they ended the show, and then, I don't know, I was one of the worst Raws, in my opinion, in a long time. I mean, I say Raw is bad, like, almost every week, but, like, this one was just a real struggle to get through. Like, I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even really see what happened in the main event. I was kind of, like, you know, looking other places. I was not focused on the TV, that's for sure. So that's it for Raw. My overall rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a 4, maybe a 4. That's about as high as I can go, maybe even lower than that. Like, it doesn't even deserve a 5. It was just like, I don't even know if I should say 4. Maybe it was a 2. Maybe it was a 2.5, something like that, because it was really, if you think about it, one good segment. You know what I did miss? I did miss 2 things that were talked about more than the actual show itself last night. And one of them being Roman Reigns is going to have his SummerSlam announcement next week. I don't know exactly why they're saying, you know, they're already building up SummerSlam. I mean, I thought there was going to be another whole Raw pay-per-view after the Great Balls of Fire in, like, early August or something, then SummerSlam. But they're already going to have Roman Reigns doing his SummerSlam announcement, what his plans are for SummerSlam next week on Raw. And now everybody assumed after this John Cena commercial came on or whatever they did something a little different in this John Cena commercial. It wasn't just, hey, John Cena returns July 4th on SmackDown. They listed it as free agent John Cena returns to SmackDown on July 4th. And that left everybody wondering, what the hell does the whole free agent thing mean? And I was one of them, just about like everyone else. It appears that, the free agent thing is going to mean he is going to be on both shows, both Raw and SmackDown. I don't think it necessarily means he's leaving SmackDown, but it doesn't mean he's going to be exclusively to the SmackDown brand anymore. He's going to be maybe on SmackDown and Raw. So I'm hearing it's the reason for it is to increase ratings, because that's how WWE does it. They just use superstars to show up on shows, not actually create better stories, have better wrestling and all that. They just have, John Cena show up. Oh, yeah, ratings are going to fly off the roof when John Cena shows. You see it every week with SmackDown. When Cena does show up, you notice the ratings are significantly higher than normal. I don't like this idea. I think John Cena should just stay on SmackDown. I don't like the idea of having him go between brands. Hopefully we get some further explanation on this tonight on SmackDown or whatever. I hope they just don't kind of leave us hanging here and just make us keep wondering whatever until July 4th when Cena returns exactly what this whole free agent thing means. But based on what it sounds like it means, it looks like he'll be going between both brands. I don't think he's, unless he's maybe they're moving him to Raw permanently, and some suggested that it could be him going to Raw, and that could be part of Roman Reigns' SummerSlam plans, and it's going to be Cena Reigns at SummerSlam in a big match that Vince would love because those are his two favorites. But I don't know. People are saying that might be saved for WrestleMania. So we'll see where that goes. That was a little interesting. I'm more interested in that than the actual episode of Raw last night. Let's talk about other news. I was thinking about doing a separate podcast on this maybe, but I decided let me just throw it all in here because some of it relates to Raw, and pretty much most of it does because it's all about Raw superstars and stuff. And one of the things is a few hours ago, Braun Strowman, apparently he is cleared for ring action and will be back soon and will definitely be at SummerSlam is what I'm hearing. So that's good news. Hopefully Braun can somehow come back and make Raw a little bit better than it is right now. But there was no real update on the Bray Wyatt whole thing right now with the divorce and being with JoJo. There wasn't anything really announced today. Team Stream just put out a thing saying, a picture from last night of them reportedly arriving at the show together. And clearly, I could prove that picture is inaccurate and that everything about that was inaccurate because it is a legit picture. But that picture is actually from 2 weeks ago because I actually found it on Twitter. Someone else put it up. They ended up deleting the tweet. But that picture, they said in the tweet, I remember seeing it, and they said it was from Raw a few weeks ago, not last night's episode of Raw. So the article legit titled it was them arriving at Raw last night, and then there was a video and it even said that. So I was like, oh, this is completely inaccurate. None of it's right. So that was wrong there. I wish I had a screenshot of it so I could send it to him on Twitter or whatever. But whoever it was who put it up, I actually deleted it because it wasn't even there. I went to go look for it on my thing because I retweeted it. It wasn't even there, so I'm guessing they deleted it. One last thing was another report came out today saying Triple H is mad at Vince McMahon again. I swear we're getting this report about every month, and I do not blame Triple H. Nobody can blame Triple H for being mad at Vince at this point because the product he puts on Monday night is awful. We know Triple H has more control over SmackDown, and that's why SmackDown is significantly better than Raw every week. But, and another thing, key to this article, big point was how Vince ruins stars that Triple H creates. Triple H kind of, he was behind the whole Cruiserweight Classic tournament last summer, which was amazing. And now we have the whole Cruiserweight division and 205 Live, which clearly has been done nothing with. Vince hasn't even done a thing with it. He just has it happening. He's not actually, trying to do anything with it. So I guess Triple H, that's one of the reasons he is significantly mad at Vince. But another one is how he's just kind of wasting talents. It went on to say how talents like Bayley, you've just seen a perfect example as of late with Bayley, how good she was in NXT and how she hasn't even been used on the main roster. Really, it's they've given up on her at this point. After Extreme Rules, that's what everyone said. Her character clearly hasn't been getting over. Vince just thinks you could bring him up to the main roster and just do what you do in NXT. It's clearly not working, and that's why Triple H needs more control. There's so many more examples, and I was noticed something. I was thinking of examples of exactly talents that were ruined from NXT until the main roster, who were significantly a big star in NXT, but once they hit that main roster, it was just not anymore. And I was looking at most of them, and most of them were on the Monday Night Raw roster, excluding American Alpha, who are on SmackDown. They're currently, repacking them somewhat, not getting rid of their whole character, I don't think, but kind of maybe reintroducing them in a way where people would understand who didn't watch NXT, who they are. Because, there's more fans probably watching SmackDown who didn't watch NXT, so that's why they were kind of like having to do something with them, because whatever they were doing with American Alpha wasn't working. So hopefully they're able to figure out American Alpha over there on SmackDown. But like I said, there were so many things on people on Raw. I was thinking of like how they were in NXT, and it's just like how they are now in the main roster. Bayley, one of them. Sasha Banks, another one of them. Now this one isn't necessarily NXT, but Gallows and Anderson were great in New Japan. And I thought they were going to come over here. Like, when they showed up on that episode of Raw, like, last year, whatever, I'm thinking, like, these guys are going to be the best tag team, one of the best tag teams ever in WWE. And they just, oh my God, WWE just made a joke out of them, a complete joke. That stuff they had them doing last summer with the New Day and everything, oh, it was so bad. And then they, like, you think they would finally do something. Even when they put the titles on them, it didn't even feel like a legitimate title run for Gallows and Anderson. It just felt like it just didn't feel right. Like, yeah, I feel like it's at the point now where it's like that. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? I think they should have moved them to SmackDown. To be honest, SmackDown would have got them and booked them so good, and they would be probably like champs right now or something. But they wanted to keep them on Raw, and they're doing nothing with them on Raw. Right now, they're kind of just like that one tag team, the odd team out or whatever. So that's another example. Finn Balor, really. I mean, I don't know if I should say Finn Balor. I was thinking Finn Balor, but then I was like, he's been injured really ever since he came up. I mean, he had the SummerSlam feud with Rollins, which was decent match, and then he got injured. He just came back, and they really haven't done anything. They really haven't done anything with him since he came back. It looked like they were going into a Bray Wyatt feud or something, but then apparently they decided let's do Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt instead of Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt at this time. So and Finn didn't even show up once again last night. That's 2 weeks in a row where he wasn't on an actual show. I don't think he was in the dark match last night. He was last week. Roman Reigns didn't even show up this week. He was in the dark match, though. He took on Bray Wyatt, I think it was. So, interesting Baylor, why he's not showing up. But he was over in Japan, though, apparently recruiting some New Japan stars. So, I don't know. I don't know why anybody would... I don't know how he's recruiting stars to want to come to WWE. It's probably so much better over in New Japan. I was up watching... New Japan the other night, early in the morning. Definitely worth staying up all night watching that. Okada versus Omega was great, the second match. Even though it ended in a draw, it was still a hell of a match. 60 minutes, both men, hats off to them. That was unbelievable. But I don't know why anyone would want to leave New Japan and come to WWE, seeing the current state of WWE. If they're going to NXT, I would be happy about that, because NXT's good. They'll book them good down there. But once they get up to that main roster, Vince is going to destroy them. Just make a joke out of them. That's what he's doing with just basically everyone at this point. That's it, guys. That's it for all the reports as of today and as of what happened last night on Raw. I'm looking forward to SmackDown tonight. There's been a lot of hypes around the SmackDown, being that's the last show in New Orleans before WrestleMania next year. So I don't know. Apparently it's supposed to be a big night tonight. They did announce a 6-man tag match tonight on the show. I don't know what's so exciting about another 6-man tag match that includes the Money in the Bank competitors. So that will be tonight on the show. Hopefully it's a good show. I'm sure it's going to be better than Raw. I'm confident in that. Anything could be better than Raw at this point. Let me know what you guys thought of Raw, and let me know what you think of the whole Triple H being mad at Vince thing in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description below. And subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see you tomorrow for my SmackDown review on episode, what episode will it be? I don't even remember. What did I say this episode was? 4, so it'll be 5, episode 5 of the Glorious Podcast.